Broadcasting across the state of Wisconsin on the Civic Media Radio Network and around the world on the Civic Media app. This is the Dom Salvia Show. And now, here's your host, Dom Salvia.
And welcome to the Dom Salvia Show. I am your host, Dom Salvia. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for hanging out with us. You can be a big part of this production. 855-752-4842. Jess PS is on the board. We got a big show for you today. But before we dive in, I know a lot of you folks are tuning in for the grown-up gift list text to win contest here at Civic Media. So here's the deal, folks. This hour's keyword is green.
Hey.
Yeah, like money, money, money.
Like a green day.
Like Green Day. We should play some Green Day. So download the Civic Media app, find your station, and use the text button at the bottom of your screen to send the keyword green for your chance to win in this statewide contest. It is open between now and 5 p.m. Central Time. Green. Go ahead, text it. I see you folks already doing it. The word is green. Join us. Text green. Lots of gifts to give away. Lots of prizes. It's going to be super cool. Espresso machines, robot vacuums, and some money and some stays at the Chula Vista in the Wisconsin Dells. So join us. Text in the word green. Jazz is held to reintroduce to you our friend Matt Rothschild. He is the former Progressive Magazine editor and publisher, formerly executive director of the Wisconsin Democracy Campaign, an author in his own right, a Civic Media contributor, and most importantly, a friend of ours. Matt, welcome back.
Hey, Dom, it's always fun to join you on Wednesday afternoons.
Yeah, I appreciate it. And thank you for stepping up last week as well when I was out of town. I know the audience loves it when you're around, man. So thank you for that, and thank you for joining me here today. Lots of topics to get to, lots of items on the list. And I guess the breaking news, the most important thing that I've seen come across my desk today, Chris Wray resigning as the FBI director. Wah, wah, wah. Now, my understanding, Matt, is that these are like 10-year terms and they're put that way so you don't have it. It limits the potential of political interference with these terms when they're overlapping, different administrations, Matt. But apparently, Chris Wray is going to step down a little bit from the ABC News in the reporting. Here is what he said. He will be stepping down at the end of the current Biden administration, just in time for cash. After weeks of careful thought, I've decided the right thing for the Bureau is for me to serve until the end of the current administration in January and then step down. My goal is to keep the focus on our mission, the indispensable work you're doing on behalf of the American people every day. In my view, this is the best way to avoid dragging the Bureau deeper into the fray while reinforcing the values and principles that are so important to how we do our work. Deeper into the fray, Matt.
Yeah, well, he admits he's in the fray. I mean, this was very regrettable of him to do this. I mean, he had about 3 years left on his term. If Trump was going to fire him, which it looks like he was going to, let him fire him. I mean, take the blow, man. Serve until the successor is appointed and confirmed, and run the agency that you say you love so much instead of, running and rolling out the red carpet for Kash Patel of all people. I mean, the first chapter of On Tyranny by Timothy Snyder, which, I have right next to my bed practically, is do not obey in advance. And
obeying in advance.
Another guy obeying in advance. It's just, this is just not a good sign for us.
It seems like a sign of weakness. I mean, I don't know how. I don't know. There's a little more from his quotes from Christopher Wray from today. Maybe we can get a better understanding. He goes on to say, it should go without saying, but I'll say it anyway. This is not easy for me. I love this place. I love our mission. I love our people. But my focus is and always has been on us and doing what's right for the FBI. When you look at where the threats are headed, it's clear that the importance of our work, keeping Americans safe and upholding the Constitution, will not change. Yeah. Oh, yeah? Oh, okay. That's interesting. Maybe it will. Maybe it won't. You won't be there to make sure, though, will you, Chris? I continue. And what absolutely must not change is our commitment to doing the right thing, the right way, every time. Our adherence to our core values, our dedication to independence and objectivity, and our defense of the rule of law. Those fundamental aspects of who we are must never change. I mean, does he know who's going to appoint the next director, Matt?
Yeah, you can kiss independence goodbye. I mean, that's not going to happen. Listen to what Trump said on Truthy Social. It's a great day for America, as it will end the weaponization of what's become known as the United States Department of Injustice. I just don't know what happened to Ray. We will now restore the rule of law for all Americans. Yeah, here's a guy who broke the law and got no accountability whatsoever for doing so.
Well, and he goes on. Trump goes on to say what they illegally invaded his home. I mean, they were responding to a court order. I mean, Donald Trump was keeping documents, said he had returned all the documents, did not do that. And these are the crown jewels, the secrets of this country, hoarded in his Mar-a-Lago bathroom. You know what I mean? There was legitimate reason for them to go down there and do this. So for Trump to come out and say to continue, these lies is, of course, apropos. Some of the pushback on the socials today, columnist Jeff Graff from the Washington Post. This is an unbelievable abdication of Ray, and it makes it so much easier for Trump to install a corrupt leadership under Kash Patel and weaponize the FBI. Ray is doing a huge disservice to the FBI past, present, and future. Former ethics czar Norm Eisen said that Ray should have made Trump fire him. Well, Matt, you said that too. Absolutely. Anticipatory obedience is not how we will save democracy. Instead, you must constantly push back. Go another one here. Let's see. Now Trump won't have to fire the FBI director. Ray has cleared the path by obeying the tyrant in advance, violating Tim Snyder's first rule of how not to deal with dictators, said former Harvard constitutional law professor Lawrence Tribe.
Oh, there you
Lawrence
go.
Tribe and Matt Rothschild, you guys have the same line of thinking. What?
Same bookshelf too, evidently.
Well, and it's good advice. Let's just put it that way. You don't obey in advance, man. You make them do it. I don't understand, Matt, and maybe it's just me talking smack behind a mic, but I've always been kind of a pushback kind of guy in everything and everywhere I've gone all the time. It's just in my nature. So when I see this and I see, folks that are, he was I think it was pretty much a bipartisan effort. Folks liked Christopher Wray when he got in. Hell, Trump liked Christopher Wray when he appointed him initially. But then, of course, he had to go through and not be political and go through the process of obeying a court order and getting these documents back, which, of course, Donald Trump had a big issue with. It seems to me, Matt, there's not a lot of backbone in folks that are around Donald Trump and folks that are supposed to be pushing back against Donald Trump, this obeying in advance concept to me, where's the, I don't want to say resistance, because we resisted last time, and of course then Biden won. Don't ask Trump that, but Biden won, and now Trump won again. If it's not resistance, what are we doing? Do we have a backbone? Do we have anybody who's not going to obey in advance besides me and you and Jess?
Well, we're seeing people just just collapse with no backbone. We saw, Joe and Micah on Morning Joe go down to Mar-a-Lago and kiss the ring. We saw Jeff Bezos at the Washington Post not only pulling the endorsement for Kamala Harris that his own staff and editorial board had written, but just last week coming out and saying that Trump is calmer now and that he's grown over the past 8 years and that his war against regulation is going to be great. I mean, this is just really craven, cowardly stuff we're seeing.
A little bit more from the ABC. I know you quoted a little bit of Donald Trump from the Truthy Social. They have some continued comments from Trump. Here's what he said, quote, under the leadership of Christopher Wray, the FBI illegally raided my home. No, they didn't. Without cause. Yes, they had it. Worked diligently on illegally impeaching and indicting me. Well, impeaching is not a part of the FBI's job. Indicting, I guess perhaps, but a lot of that's been done locally, right? Georgia, New York City District Attorney Alvin Bragg, but he's blaming everything that's gone wrong with Donald Trump. He's blaming on his guy, Christopher Wray. So, just think about that next time you think you got it all made being a buddy of Trump's and being put into a position. Sooner or later, it comes after you. Continuing, worked diligently on illegally impeaching and indicting me and has done everything else to interfere with the success and future of America, Trump wrote. They have used their vast powers to threaten and destroy many innocent Americans, some of which will never be able to recover from what's been done to them. Of course, and that, I guess, is referencing to the January 6th insurrectionists and police assaulters and trespassers and seditious conspirators who have been convicted and or admitted to their crimes at the insurrection.
People he's going to pardon on day one, evidently. Funny, I thought he was referring to the Countel program of the FBI that was spying on leftists in the 1960s. No, that wasn't it.
That wasn't it. So another disappointing situation here. I mean, Christopher Wray, he didn't seem to roll over to the degree that, I would imagine Kash Patel would potentially do. If Donald Trump tells Kash Patel to do something, I think Kash Patel is going to do it.
Oh,
I think
absolutely.
that is really the concern for a lot of the folks that are in the orbit now. Either going to be in the cabinet or they're going to be in these other positions, and it's all about doing the bidding of Donald Trump. There's very little independent thought of that.
None. I mean, Kash Patel's got a list of 60 enemies that he wants to go after right now.
He wrote a book. Isn't Bill Barr on that?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yes, he is.
Bill Barr, because Bill Barr said, over my dead body, will you put Kash Patel under me? Back when he was during the Trump administration. So Kash Patel takes umbrage with that. And this is a guy that protected Trump. So even within the mega universe, there's still this hand-wringing and head-banging and loyalty tests, perhaps. But this is not great for the FBI. And I don't know how Christopher Wray could get up there and write that this is the best move for the FBI. I don't understand how he can justify that. I mean, even if you just look at the very simple fact that the FBI directors are put in there for 10-year terms to avoid the political influences and concerns between administrations, and he's timing it to the end of Biden's administration.
Yeah, not a good move for democracy today.
We're a good move for democracy. This is the Dom Salvia Show. That is Matt Rothschild. Jess P.S. is on the board. You can join us on the lines as well. 855-752-4842. Don't forget the text to win. Word of the day is green. Send in that green, Green. Come back with us.
Not to put too fine a point on it. Say I'm the only bee in your bonnet. Make a little birdhouse in your soul. While you're at it, leave the nightlight on inside the birdhouse in your soul. Not to put too fine a point on it. Say I'm the only bee in your bonnet. Make a little birdhouse in your soul.
One minute. $15.
855-752-4842. I'm Dom. Matt Rothschild joining me today as well. It's a Dom and Friends version of the show today. Jess PS is on the board, and you are on the lines. 855-752-4842. Christopher Wray resigning at the end of the Biden administration. Some folks a little concerned about it. Some folks are happy about it. CJ, our buddy, is happy about it, I would imagine. CJ, welcome to the show, man. What are your thoughts?
Amen. Because two forms of justice in this country, and things are going to change. Kash Patel is promising to release all documentation and communication and show the corruption that our most trusted institutions have been taken down the road of during Christopher Wray.
Do you believe Donald Trump said that he was the FBI illegally raided his house? Do you agree with that assessment, that it was an illegal raid, CJ?
Well, the beauty of it is we're going to find out, Don.
Well, I mean, it's not either you believe it or you don't, CJ. It's a very specific and an easy answer. Either you believe it was an illegal raid or it wasn't an illegal raid.
If you're politically driven, like I hear you in the tone of your voice,
I'm just looking for an answer, man.
True.
Trump said he was illegally raided.
Okay.
Do you concur with that assessment?
I want the truth.
Was he illegally raided?
truth.
Was the FBI reacting and responding to a court order? Do the National Archives not have an issue? Did Trump and his team not lie about what they had and what they returned? Are those things?
Yeah.
Tell me what you think about all that, CJ, please.
Well, I'd like to know about if you obviously read the Jonathan.
Instead of asking questions, why don't you answer my question?
Report. Did you read the Durham report?
Yes,
Because
I'll answer my question. There's nothing there, CJ. Come on, man. Stick on topic. We're talking about Christopher Wray. Christopher Wray, right? Yep. He was the head of the FBI when Donald Trump, when Mar-a-Lago was raided. Was that an illegal raid, CJ?
Well, again, we're going to find out through documentation. And,
what?
And
Okay,
court,
let me. Okay, help me out here. Of the documentation that is out there regarding the raid, because it's very public, man. You can go look it up. Is there anything that concerns you that makes you think it's an unconstitutional raid, that it was illegal, as Donald Trump has put it?
Well, again, you want to make this the big news of.
Okay. Just asking questions. Thanks for the call, CJ. Try again next time. Matt, it was not an illegal raid. I will answer the question posed to CJ that he would refuse to answer because, of course, there was legitimacy to it. It was court ordered. He was not giving the information, the documents back to the National Archives. He had attorneys out there signing affidavits swearing that he did. He had his handlers go down there and move stuff around after the subpoenas came in, man. I mean, come on. This is pretty much cut and dry. Now, you can argue whether or not those documents are worth anything or that they were his documents because they had some golf shirts and something perhaps in the boxes. But the fact that this was done through a court order, that this was done by issued by a judge, and that there was lying and obfuscating and hiding and moving of the documents by Trump's staff, I mean, it's pretty much cut and dry. And the fact that Donald Trump is out there saying it today that this was illegal, and folks like CJ and the conservatives out there just eating it up, oh, yeah, it was. Well, then why did he lie about it in the first place, Matt?
Well, this is what he does. This is his MO. He lies when he says good morning. The guy is just a horrible chronic liar. He can't help himself. And he, look at, the National Archives asked and asked and asked for these documents. Finally, when they weren't getting any results, they went to the Justice Department and said, can you guys get these documents? The Justice Department asked and asked and asked for the documents. And finally, they got a judge to sign a warrant. So they went down there and got the documents themselves, even after the attorney said there are no more documents here. I mean, come on.
And somehow, some way, that's wrong. That's overreach by the FBI. That's Christopher Wray's fault. What has Donald Trump or hell any of these megas ever taken responsibility for their actions?
They don't. What I mean? Donald Trump has never done a bad thing in his life. He's never apologized in his life. He can't spell "I'm sorry." I mean, the guy is just incapable of admitting anything, and and so he's on his retribution tour. And Christopher Wray is, he got a trophy early. Christopher Wray chopped his own head off here.
And again, I need to reiterate, for those conservatives out there, for those megas out there. Christopher Wray was appointed by Trump. You know what I mean?
When he fired the last guy, James Comey.
All the things and all the the people that are most impacted by the chaos in the wake of Donald Trump are those that were previously in his good graces. There's a trend here, folks. Sooner or later, he comes for you. And I don't understand why megas give him such a pass on all these issues. 855-752-4842. Jake from the MKE, you're up. Welcome, Jake. What do you got?
Yeah, I actually want to give CJ props for not bringing up Afghanistan towards the end. He looked like he was starting to break up a little bit there. So, because that's always the go-to. But if I or you did anything even close to what Trump did, like using those documents for toilet paper, we'd be in jail for the rest of our lives.
Yes.
If not treason. The only reason he got away with it because the justice system is too weak in this country to actually do something important, which is get rid of a traitor named Donald J. Trump out of our government. But no, I guess that's fine. I mean, the biggest thing is Merrick Garland, the hugest disappointment, and if you ask me, he's part of the whole thing himself. And I just
hang on, Jake. Part how? I mean, maybe his lack of urgency would contribute to the problem, but besides that, how do you think Garland is part of this?
Because he didn't do anything. He was pushed. He is part of it. If you're not going to be doing your job in the Justice Department to stop, say, I don't know, all the stuff that went on that was illegal in the White House before you, then you are part of the problem, right? I mean, it's just like that. If you're silent or you didn't vote, you're part of the problem. And I know I'm a little harsh on that, but it's true. It is.
Thank you for the call, Jake. 855-752-4842. Matt, we just got 20 seconds left if you want to jump in.
Yeah, I mean, Merrick Garland wasn't in on it, but he was culpable for not going after him sooner. I'm with Jake on that part.
855-75-CIVIC. Come back with us.
1 minute, Matt.
Okay. Raw Story has an article about Cinema and Manchin deep sixing Biden's appointees to the NLRB in the last minute, which is kind of gross. And Elizabeth Warren's walking back her comment on the CEO shooter, Luigi.
$15.
Time to go and get our kicks. Dropping out and getting in the mix now.
Welcome back to the Dom Salvia Show. I'm Dom. We got Matt Rothschild on the line with us today as well. Jess PS is on the board, and you folks lining up on the phones, 855-752-4842. It's a phone line. It's a text line. Before we get back to it, got to remind all you folks, it's the Grown Up Gift List Text to Win contest right here at Civic Media. Today's word, this hour's word, is green. Green. So download the Civic Media app. Find your favorite Civic Media radio station. Use the text button at the bottom of the screen and send the keyword green.
Special one just for you, Dom.
Yeah, thank you. Bring me that green for your chance to win in this statewide contest. We're talking about Christopher Wray, the Trump-appointed FBI director. 3 years left on his term. Matt stepping down at the end of the Biden administration, kind of doing away with the whole overlapping term thing because he feels this is the best thing to do for the FBI, I guess, and some folks have some issues with it. Before we get to the lines, Matt, I want to throw this out there briefly, if I may, as well. Good timing here on the topic, political reporting. This came out yesterday. Watchdog faults DOJ in Trump's first term for secretly obtaining records of lawmakers and journalists. Wait, what? During leak investigations. Oh, they didn't like those leaks. Remember the leaks, Matt? They didn't like the leaks. Trump's DOJ obtained phone and email records of 2 House Democrats and dozens of congressional staffers. Now there's, let's see, it looks like 43 congressional staffers and 2 Democratic House members. Now this is a report by Horowitz, and he apparently found that the investigation, or at least the report, the phone records of Adam Schiff and Eric Swalwell. This was not done because of political reasons. Quote, we did not find any evidence of retaliatory or political motivation by the career prosecutors who issued the compulsory process we reviewed. Now, this is what makes this really interesting in the reporting at Politico about this. Now, the Justice Department during the Trump administration faced scrutiny for efforts to access the email accounts of then House Intelligence Committee aide Kash Patel. Wait, what? Wait, what? Patel, who is now Trump's pick to lead the FBI, has long decried the intrusion by Justice Department officials, which he claimed was retaliation for his effort to undermine the investigation of Trump's 2016 ties to Russia. Last year, Patel sued top Justice Department officials over the grand jury subpoena, and his suit was dismissed in September by U.S. District Judge Amit Mehta. Now, Patel was one of the 43 congressional staffers whose phone or email logs were pursued by investigators, a number higher than previously known. The review found that 21 of them were affiliated with Democrats and 20 with Republicans, and 2 were in nonpartisan positions. The Justice Department did not seek or obtain the content of their communications, but only details such as which phone numbers or email accounts they were in contact with, Horowitz found. Now, according to this, there were no subpoenas issued for this at all. Barr declined to be interviewed by Horowitz's team, but the report says investigators found no indication the issuance of subpoenas for lawmakers or their aides was raised to Barr's level. Indeed, the report concludes that at the time there was no policy in place to require added review of subpoenas and similar demands for information about lawmakers and their staff. So Kash Patel, Matt, was apparently one of the targets of this, and maybe that's why he got a little bone to pick.
A little domestic spying in Trump administration 1. I think we'll see a little more domestic spying in Trump administration 2. Only this time Kash Patel will be the one who's doing the spying, not the one who was spied on. But, the fact that journalists also were spied on should raise anyone's eyebrows, if your eyebrows care about the First Amendment.
855-752-4842. Let's get to it. Mark from the SAC, you next. Welcome, Mark. What do you got for us?
Yeah, thanks so much. Yeah, and let's remember that Christopher Wray was fired at the behest of, was hired at the behest of Donald Trump because he fired James Comey because Comey wouldn't drop investigations. I mean, that's why Comey got fired. I mean and for the whole Mar-a-Lago thing, the investigation, I heard this tossed in my face. Well, Biden had documents, and Vice President Pence had documents they had to go and get, and they weren't completely secured and all this. But I think the volume that Donald Trump had, and it was a legally issued subpoena to get those documents. I mean, a judge ordered those documents returned, and Trump didn't do it. So the government was within its rights to retrieve those documents. I heard it thrown in my face. Well, those belong to Donald Trump, and he could do with them whatever the hell he wanted to, and including monetize them was my question back. And
Right.
I didn't get any answer to response to that, because I think that information is probably known. We probably know that Donald Trump actually gave information to his buddy Vlad and some other leaders around the world, and got benefits from that.
Well, I mean, we don't know, Mark, and that's the unfortunate thing. My understanding is there was even around Mar-a-Lago, loose lips talking about some guy from Australia, some rich guy from Australia, and Trump's talking about, I believe it was submarines and our technology. I mean, a guy like Donald Trump, it just cannot be trusted. That's the concern. And there is no evidence, Mark. But I'm with you, man. I have no doubt that a guy like Donald Trump, Matt, would leverage that information for some sort of benefit. I mean, that's what he does.
Yeah, and he held these documents that weren't his. I mean, any document that a president has, except for the most personal, maybe a Christmas card or a birthday greeting or something, maybe he can keep that. Everything else goes to the National Archives. Those aren't his personal possessions. Those are the possessions of the people of the United States, and those possessions belong at the National Archives. We don't know what Trump intended to do or might have done with some of those documents yet, so I don't think we should say what Mark said. There's no evidence that, we gave info to Putin. Maybe he would have given info to Putin. Who knows? We don't have all the facts there.
There's no evidence that he didn't, Matt. And we don't know. Certainly there is no evidence of that to be the case. But we do know that he has a big mouth. And we do know that he loves to leverage for benefit. What about the love letters from Kim Jong-un? I mean, is that personal? That's not personal?
I mean, it is personal, but it's not that personal. That does belong in the National Archives. And also he likes to hold, he likes documents as for their power value, to hold over people, to extort things from people. He had documents about the French president's affairs, I think. I mean, he likes to have little, he's like J. Edgar Hoover that way. He likes to be able to have power over you because of the information he holds that you don't think he has. And then all of a sudden, boom, I've got this something on you. So, yeah, I mean, obviously he shouldn't have had all those documents that belong to the National Archives. And it's a sin that we weren't able to finish this trial and find out exactly why he had those documents or what he did with those documents, and that he would face some accountability for it. That's the crime of this whole era, that Donald Trump is facing no accountability for all the alleged crimes that he's committed. Pretty serious ones, too, including trying to overturn our democracy.
Oh, wasn't he recorded in Bedminster talking about these documents, some of the classified documents, as he was essentially bragging to folks? I mean,
that's another thing he gets his jollies from, just showing people how much how much information he knows. And, some group he was saying, this is secret. I'm not supposed to tell you. This is what this is what our military had planned or something. I mean, he loose lips, man. He's got the loosest lips of any former president.
855-752-4842. Give that guy a radio show. 855-75 Civic Jack.
Would be the most boring show ever. Let me assure you.
Jack from the Mac, you are up. Welcome, sir. What do you got for us?
Yeah, well, first of all, the political cowardice of our top officials in the Justice Department, and that goes all the way down to the state level, is just, it's amazing to me. I mean, first of all, almost immediately after January 6th, the investigation should have been started into what this problem was. Then, in February of 2021, McConnell even stated clearly, and he'd seen the evidence in the impeachment trial, and he's a lawyer, so he knows whether there's convincing evidence or not. And he stated specifically, Trump is responsible for what happened January 6th. About a year later, I think it was, the select committee report came out. A whole ton of evidence. Still nothing is done. Finally, after years, almost before the election, something starts to be done. And I mean, if I were Jack Smith or if I were Chris Wray, I would be sticking around and I would say, hey, I've got this charge to follow the evidence and take it to court. And if you want to stop me, you have to go to court to stop me. But they don't. And we're just now even getting some results here in Wisconsin when 4 years ago, we knew that these 10 people had signed fraudulent papers stating they were the electoral representatives. Yep. I mean, this whole corruption is unbelievable. And our Justice Department officials from the very top on down, totally cowardice. They're just backing away from it because of Trump's political power.
Thanks for the call, Jack. I wonder, Matt, if they're backing away or they haven't, reacted with alacrity over the course of the last several years, not because they're afraid, but because they want to somehow, protect the institutions, yada, 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 yada. I mean, it looks really bad to go after a former president, right? I don't know that there's that kind of fear. Now, as it stands right now, I don't know if it's fear either, but it certainly isn't. It seems seemingly to me it's cowardice, if nothing else. But do you think there was some effort, Matt, to insulate our institutions from what Trump has ultimately thrown upon them?
Well, that's the kindest possible interpretation of what Merrick Garland was doing when he was just slow-balling this investigation that we all knew was required once we saw with our own eyes what was happening on January 6th. I mean, he should have opened this investigation on January 21st. And he just waited and waited and waited. I completely agree with Jack on that. I do think he didn't want to appear like he was politicizing it. This is a naive judge. I mean, some judges and lawyers are so in love with the law and they think it's a beautiful thing and it's uncorruptible and they don't want to have any blemish on it or any accusation that they're doing anything to interfere with the beauty of the workings of the law. And this is just naivete. It's a joke. Because the law is political too. And here to let the president of the United States off the hook for trying to install himself in power like we're a tin hat third world dictatorship here in Bolivia, it was just ridiculous. And he waited, as Jack from Merrimack said, 2 years to get Jack Smith on the case. And that was too long. And so we didn't get any justice here. I mean, we all knew the longer he waited, the harder it was going to be to get a conviction before the election. And so here we are. It's ridiculous. It's a sin.
So has the Biden Justice Department failed us? Have they
totally
failed to uphold their oath to the Constitution, if nothing else?
Yeah, Merrick Garland was absolutely the wrong attorney general at the wrong time.
855-752-4842. It's a text line. It's a phone line. I see you callers on there, but we're going to run out of time in the segment. I want to give you plenty of time to give us your opinions. 855-75-CIVIC. A couple of the texters here, Matt from Middleton. Let's remember that it was the utter incompetence of the Bush administration and surprisingly large number of Christian white nationalists that gave us Trump. The Republican Party has been a failure on a lot of things for many years, and Dems always have to clean it up. Matt, do you think that this is going to be, in the last 60 seconds here, man, another situation that the Dems are going to have to, quote-unquote, clean up? Or is this going to be a nation-altering administration?
I believe the latter. I think we're in for a really rough ride, and we're kidding ourselves if it isn't going to be so. Let's look what happens on day one. If he pardons those January 6th folks on day one and does other things as the dictator on day one, better buckle your seatbelts.
Have fun storming the castle, boys. Folks, this is the Dom Salvia Show. That is Matt Rothschild. Just PS is on the board. And do not forget the Text to Win contest, the statewide contest. The word is green. The grown-up gift list, Text to Win contest. Text in the word green. Download the app, hit the button, and text green. We'll be right back.
10.
Well, people try to put us talking about my generation just because we get around. Talking about my generation. Well, they take you and cough talking about my generation. I hope I die before I get old.
And welcome back to the Dom Salvia Show, 855-752-4842. Matt Rothschild joining me, Just PS on the board, on the lines. And you folks are going to get back to you right now, 855-75-CIVIC. Last chance in this hour. Text the word of the day. It is green. Green. I'm not saying it anymore. That's it. Give me the green. We got a couple of callers. Let's get to them in this hour while we can. Gary from Sussex, you are first. Welcome, Gary. What do you got?
I haven't talked to you since Donald Trump been elected. I stayed away from you because I didn't want you to chew my head off. I wasn't going to go nah. But I'm pretty good at predicting things. And I knew that Donald Trump was going to win, and he's going to win big. I was talking.
He didn't win big, Gary. He barely won.
I don't know. Okay. He won big. in my opinion.
Okay, hang on.
only
I get that, and I want to flesh this out a little bit. How did he win big? By the Electoral College count? Because he got less than 50% of the popular vote, Gary.
He ended up getting almost 80 million votes, the most votes in history of any president.
No, what, dude? No.
Granted that there are more people in the United States than there were 50 years ago, okay? And he got a crossover. He doubled what he got in black vote. He got 9%. Now he went up to almost 20%. Hispanic vote, he got a lot. Now, I'm not here to argue.
No, I get it, but I think, listen, but here, I get it, Gary. I get it, but perspectives matter, man. You want to say he got a big chunk of the electoral vote? Absolutely, I got you. You want to say he had some increases in some demographics? Okay. But he did not get over 50% of the vote, and historically, this is one of the tightest presidential election victories ever. Now you go.
Okay. This is what I think is going to happen. I think that Donald Trump is going to have Alan Bragg, Jack Smith, James, bring them all down to Mar-a-Lago to have dinner with them, because these are the people who got him elected. If it wasn't for the fact that these people went after him and tried to throw him in jail and get him for all these different charges, whether they're trumped up or they're bogus charges or they're legitimate charges, you just don't go after a president who is running, or a candidate who's running for president.
What, Gary? What are you talking about? Listen, hang on a second. Donald, if that's the case, then Donald Trump won this election because Donald Trump did the criming. Donald Trump did the activities that caused those investigations. And if you're going to say that it's because of Alvin Bragg, you know, if it's because of the National Archives trying to get their things back, if it's because Chutkin and they brought the case and Jack Smith came in because Donald Trump orchestrated and encouraged people to attack the Capitol, man? You don't think Donald Trump has anything to do with any of those prosecutions against him? This was all trumped up? This was all false? Hey, Gary? Is that what you're telling me? I just want to be clear. Is that what you're telling me, man?
No.
Okay.
Donald Trump never told those guys on January 6th to go out there and tear the Capitol apart. He said, go out there and let them know what you want. Tell them that you're mad as hell. And the fact is, but do it peacefully.
He said, fight like hell or you're not going to have a country anymore. Let me ask you this, Gary. Do you know what kind of conversations he had with Roger Stone? Do you know what kind of conversations he had? You don't know, do you?
I wasn't there.
No. Do you know what kind of conversations Roger Stone had at the Wilbur Hotel? No, you don't know that. You know why? Because Donald Trump won, and now those investigations are shut down. Do you know how many what the phone call logs were at the White House? No, you don't, because those are gone too. So there was activity. Man, Gary, this was a concerted effort. We got 10 more charges from AG Call here in the state of Wisconsin against the lawyers who apparently fraudulently convinced the 10 fraudulent electors from Republicans to sign on to the deal. Do you think that was done without the A-OK and thumbs up from the big guy?
No, I think there's a lot of shenanigans going on.
Yeah, man.
And a lot of stuff. Of course, I'm not saying that anybody's perfect. Hey, I still owe you, and this is the last chance that you get. I made a bet with you. I owe you lunch or dinner, you and me, and if you're going to sit there and just dog me and just say, forget it, I don't like hanging out with conservative Republicans, that's fine.
No, never, Gary. I would never do that. We certainly did, and I'll make more of an effort to. I should probably take your phone number down. Would you just? All right. Hang on. We'll just make sure we got your phone number, and I'll reach out and we'll make sure we hook up because I did win the bet and appreciate it. 855-752-4842. Joe from Madison, you're next. Welcome. What do you got?
Well, I was going to be kind of cheery and jovial, but Gary hit it right out of the ballpark in terms of setting off the anger wheel. Are you kidding me, Gary? You're saying he's not perfect? He sat there on his ass for hours while cops were getting the heck beaten out of him. There were people left terribly injured by this, injuries and deaths. And you're telling me that just going back, well, nobody's perfect? Come on, Gary. Cops suffered terrible injuries in this quest while he sat on his tail feathers. His daughter said, Dad, do something. Other people said, get out there. You've got to go say, make it peaceful. He did not say be peaceful at the head. He was happy as the cops were getting beat up and the Capitol was being destroyed. Gary, wake up. Just wake up, because that guy, what he did to the disrespect that he did to the cops that were in that Capitol, just cannot be countenanced by just saying, well, just, if nobody's perfect. Come on. I back the blue. I back the blue. I don't think Gary does. I do not think he does. And I would say, in regards to what you were discussing earlier, Dom, there was an article in The Independent that just talked about what a blabbermouth that Donald Trump has been. This is The Independent. You can find it, and the title reads, Video Surfaces of Kid Rock Claiming that Trump Showed Him Secret Maps. Quote, am I supposed to be in on this? End quote. And, yeah, he was showing him secret maps.
Got to cut you short there, Joe. Thank you. Ba with the ba. Come back with us.
30 seconds.
Broadcasting across the state of Wisconsin on the Civic Media Radio Network and around the world on the Civic Media app. This is the Dom Salvia Show. And now, here's your host, Dom Salvia.
And welcome to the Dom Salvia Show. I am your host, Dom Salvia. Got Matt Rothschild in with me today as well. Jess PS is on the board. You are on the lines and on the horn at 855-752-4842, 855-75-CIVIC. Matt, I know we kind of went to the edge last hour with regards to Christopher Wray tendering his resignation at the end of the Biden administration. Any additional thoughts you may have on that, my friend?
Well, I thought Joe was right because Gary used the unfortunate turn of phrase, nobody's perfect. And it's not like Donald Trump who was backing out of his car in the garage and had a fender bender. I was a little more serious than that. So I was glad Joe was able to pipe in on that. But, Gary did say something that I thought was had some meaning, and that is that Trump oddly, perversely, was able to make hay on these prosecutions, calling them persecutions, and claiming that he was being, politically attacked by the Justice Department when there was clear evidence that he had committed some major crimes and should have been investigated, should have been indicted, and we should have been able to bring it before a jury before this election happened. But Merrick Garland was just too darn slow. And as a result, here we are. But it also, Gary points to the fact that Donald Trump is one of the greatest con men and salesmen this country has ever seen, that he could take these indictments and make hay, spin gold out of them.
Well, you need to have a mark, Matt, and that apparently is the mega
he got
supporters.
77 million marks.
77.268. So 77
it's
million.
not just MAGA. It's not just the cult that came along, but it was people outside the cult too, which is even more distressing. And the Democrats really need to look at that.
Trump got 77,268, and Harris got 74,982. So it was not a 80-some million votes as Gary incorrectly stated.
No, I believe Gary was misremembering the 2020 election in which Biden won 81 million.
The numbers, the percentages anyway, of the popular vote, Trump 49.9 and Harris 48.4, according to the AP. That's less than 50% on my radio math. So not a grand, glorious victory by any stretch of the imagination. But if you do look at the electoral votes, Matt, 312 to 226, that tells the story. The seven swing states didn't hold up.
Yeah, and the last point I was just going to make, that was what was so crushing, sweeping all 7 of the swing states, including Wisconsin. I know Ben Wickler is making the case that we did better than the other 6 swing states, but that's slim consolation right here. So,
we lost by less.
Still lost.
It was so close. We lost by less. 855-752-4842. Matt, when I wind down at night, I like to watch some sports. And I'm not really like a big sportster, but it's nice to shut off the news because this cycle we're in. Man, you can do this all day, all night, all the time. I don't care if it's doom strolling or what the case is. There's lots of news to be consumed, and it can get overbearing, and it can be a little bit habitual as well. So I try to shut it down, turn it off, and watch some sports. So last night, I was sitting down and catching up on the Bucks. Man, I love watching the Milwaukee Bucks. They started out, won their first game, and they went through a little trouble, and now they're back on their winning ways. And they beat Orlando in a great game yesterday. I think the Bucks are 8-2 in their last 10, and they won 2 in a row. And it was a great game. It was a close game. It came down to the wire. And Matt, what I noticed all of a sudden, and I hadn't noticed this before, the referees were wearing Emirates patches. And I was thinking, what's this all about? Emirates. I was like, United Arab Emirates? Like Emirates, like the airline Emirates? Yes, that Emirates. So I did a little digging today. I was trying to figure out, well, what is going on here? And in fact, I did find from the NBA.com from February of this year, Emirates named global airline partner of NBA and title partner of the Emirates NBA Cup. So this is like some internal competition going on during the regular season, and the Bucks' victory yesterday apparently sends them to Vegas to continue to compete for the Emirates Cup. They're the sponsor. A little bit from the reporting here, Emirates and the NBA announced a multi-year global marketing partnership, naming Emirates the official global airline partner of the NBA. Collaboration also makes Emirates the integral title partner of the NBA Cup, previously named the NBA in-season tournament, as well as the first ever referee jersey patch partner of the NBA. I mean, first ever, man. I mean, hey, we're running out of space on the players. Let's start stacking up the refs. So there was the patch was on the refs. I was like, what is going on here? Is there no space that you can't advertise on? I mean, hell, when they showed the free throws, like the top of the backboard, he's got advertising.
It's all retail space.
Oh my goodness. As the first title partner of the Emirates NBA Club, the global airline will be featured through a co-branded Emirates NBA Cup event logo with co-branding promotion planned across the NBA's global social media community and in-arena signage throughout the Emirates NBA Cup semifinals and championship games starting next season. Well, we're in that season now. The Emirates logo will also be featured on all NBA referee jerseys, starting with the 2024 NBA All-Star Game taking place. Of course, this was last February. Now, here's just a quick quote, and we'll have this conversation. We are proud to establish a global marketing partnership with the National Basketball Association to become the official global airline partner, said His Highness Sheikh Ahmed bin Saeed Al Maktoum, the Emirates Group Chairman and Chief Executive. Now, I looked this up. Emirates Airlines is owned by Emirates Group, which is a subsidiary of the government. This is a government, right? And His Highness. Anytime you talk, His Highness, you know what? That does not. I would be very bad in those kinds of social situations. I will never refer to anyone as His or Her Highness.
What if I come in a crown?
Doesn't matter. You better give me a bottle of Crown if you want me to go down that road. The collaboration will also see Emirates become the league's first referee jersey patch partner, as I noted, man. I've never saw that. I've never noticed that before. It must have been going on. I've watched games before, just never noticed it till last night. And the inaugural title partner of the NBA Cup, with basketball's popularity around the world, we're excited to work with one of the most globally recognized and prestigious professional leagues. The NBA is a valuable addition to our sponsorship portfolio as it allows us to connect with a vast global fan base, including in the U.S., where the game is an integral part of the country's sports culture. They go on and on and on. Now, maybe they're not as bad at the Emirates, human rights. This is my concern. You get these Your Highness type countries and hardcore religious countries. How do they take care of the women, the elderly, the gays? You know what I'm saying? The not like thems. And Matt, what's your sense on that? I think this is sports washing. And on top of this, it has also been reported today. Of course, this is timely as well. Saudi Arabia chosen to host the 2034 World Cup.
Well, I like your expression there, sports washing, because I think that's what it is. United Arab Emirates, I took a quick look at Human Rights Watch and Amnesty International. They don't have freedom of association, freedom of speech there. There are about 24 political prisoners there. They have terrible working conditions for migrant labor that's working in the in the heat out there in the summertime. We're talking about 135 degrees. And they're not great on sexual minorities either, as you suggested. They probably weren't, Dom. So, yeah, this is not a great look for the NBA. And, the NBA is selling itself to the largest bidder here, no matter what. And also the NBA is terribly complicit in sports gambling right now. I mean, they're getting a take on, everyone who puts a bet down on DraftKings and FanDuel. I mean, this is... It's just a crazy way to addict the country. And I'm not one to say gambling's horrible. I do my own gambling, but I like to say I'm not a gambler. I'm a Texas Hold'em player. There's a difference. But anyway, that's cutting it pretty thin. So, but why should the NBA be prospering off of other people's addiction problems? That's wrong too. So I think the NBA should take a look in the mirror here.
Well, Matt, as I always like to say, it's only gambling when you lose. Otherwise, it's a sure thing.
Otherwise, you're just a genius.
You're right. The World Cup, and the World Cup has been famous for its corruption, right? this kind of thing. It's not great. The CBS News is reporting. This is from today. Soccer's international governing body, FIFA, confirmed Wednesday the locations of the next two Men's World Cup, announcing Spain, Portugal, and Morocco to host 2030 tournament with games played in Uruguay, Paraguay, and Argentina. Also announced that Saudi Arabia will host the 2034 World Cup. The consideration and now announcement of Saudi Arabia as a host has prompted backlash from rights groups due to the country's human rights record. FIFA is willfully blind to the country's human rights record, setting up a decade of potentially horrific human rights abuses preparing for the 2034 World Cup. Minky Warden, director of the global initiatives at Human Rights Watch, said in a statement. The rights group point to evidence that the Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, known as MBS, has presided over numerous documented cases of torture, mass executions, I mean, those are the best kind, and forced disappearances. Domestic criticism of state, even on social media, has been met with imprisonment and torture, and the CIA has concluded with high confidence that MBS personally ordered the 2018 assassination and dismemberment of Washington Post columnist Jamal Khashoggi at a Saudi diplomatic office in Turkey.
Let me just read the top paragraph from Amnesty International on Saudi Arabia. The authorities targeted individuals for peacefully exercising their rights to freedom of expression or association. Some were sentenced to lengthy prison terms or death following grossly unfair trials. Human rights defenders continued to be arbitrarily detained or subject to travel bans. Courts handed down death sentences following grossly unfair trials, including in cases of individuals who were children at the time of their alleged crimes, and people were executed for a wide range of crimes. Migrants were subjected to serious human rights abuses, including killings at the border. Thousands of people were involuntarily returned to their home country as part of a crackdown on undocumented migrants. That might be happening here.
That sounds kind of familiar. Folks, this is the Dom Salvia Show. Matt Rothschild joining me, Jess P.S. on the board. Coming back, we're going to continue this conversation just for a bit longer. Some headlines of the day on the sports. Now, this one came out last week. I'm going to get into here. NBA returning to China for a pair of Suns-Nets preseason games in 2025. So the NBA was in China, but then they're kicked out. Well, why were they kicked out? Well, we're going to have to stick around to find out that. I want to get your thoughts on this. Is this different from buying an iPhone from China? The NBA going to China or going back to China? FIFA, the World Cup in Saudi Arabia. United Arab Emirates sticking their logos on the refs here in this country. Are these acceptable, just regular old promotions, or is it sports washing? Is this dirtier than we think it is? Come back with us, 855-752-4842.
Not to put too fine a point on it. Say I'm the only bee in your bonnet. Make a little birdhouse in your soul.
1 minute, Matt.
Dom Salvia Show, 855-752-4842, 855-75 Civic, talking about sports washing. You know, some of these foreign countries that have, you know, dubious relationships with their LGBTQ communities, jumping in and sponsoring teams like the NBA. A little bit on this from the reporting when this deal was first struck at the USA Today from April of 2024. Mike Freeman, just a few paragraphs here. There are a few leagues historically better than the NBA and the WNBA at including and respecting the LGBTQ community. Both leagues have seen trailblazing players and game officials. About 20% of WNBA rosters are openly LGBTQ. Out Sports reported 2 years ago, both leagues are extraordinary on this issue, which makes something the NBA has done so especially puzzling. NBA referees must now wear multiple patches on their uniforms supporting Emirates. The NBA and the airline reached a deal in February for the Emirates to serve as the official global airline of the NBA and the WNBA. Now, on the surface, it's a standard deal leagues make all the time. But as Outsports recently reported, this one is extremely different. That's because Emirates is owned by the government of Dubai, part of the United Arab Emirates. Dubai just might be the most anti-LGBTQ place on the face of the planet. Being gay is outlawed in Dubai and the UAE. Outlawed. Now, two of the refs who have to wear the patches, one is Bill Kennedy, who came out as gay 10 years ago as a way to combat anti-gay sentiment in the league. The other is Shea Flores, who is transgender and publicly told their story recently. So to summarize, the NBA has reached this deal with the government whose policies are hostile to large swaths of its membership. Now, the issue speaks to the complexities of a league like the NBA, which is trying to expand the game, but in doing so will go places where the game is welcome, but not all of its people are.
Correct. I mean, lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender people in the UAE face discrimination. Homosexuality is illegal there. And consensual same-sex extramarital activity is illegal. Extramarital sexual activity between persons of different sexes also illegal, Dom. You should know.
Oh, Trump better stay away from the UAE. I mean, and public affection, kissing is frowned upon there. Holding hands, that kind of, to my understanding, which was just terrible. All sorts of reasons why. I mean, I like to travel, Matt. I'd like to go see places and things and cultures and all that kind of stuff. But what? Wait, what? And the most anti-LGBTQ place on the face of the earth, quote unquote. I mean, why would you want to spend your money there? And why would the NBA want to? Oh, that's right. They're paying. It's all about the moolah, Matt.
It's a real low bar. They'll take money from anybody at this point, it looks like. And the World Cup is going to do the same thing with Saudi Arabia 10 years from now.
Sports washing. And the guy had a Washington Post journalist. Now, granted, he was from Saudi Arabia, and he was very critical of the government there. The dude was kidnapped, drugged, and hacksawed. They haven't found his body yet. I mean, the MBS they call him Hacksaw. At least I call him Hacksaw.
He had joint citizenship. He was a U.S. citizen too, so it wasn't just a Saudi. And yeah, Khashoggi was just hacked to pieces by these people that the Crown Prince hated. And he and the Crown Prince and Putin can celebrate it all they want, but this is who the World Cup's dealing with. And of course, women have been second class or third class citizens there forever. LGBT folks are fourth class, and so what's the World Cup doing with soccer going to Saudi Arabia? What's the NBA doing? Going to selling its referees off to the UAE and letting naming rights all over the stadiums and everything, or all over the games as they're being played. I mean, it's pretty reprehensible when you look at it.
Now, also in this same vein, the AP reporting from last week, the NBA is returning to China next season, striking a deal to play preseason games there more than 5 years after the league was effectively banned. Well, why would the league be banned from China? Apparently, the commissioner, Adam Silver, did not punish Daryl Morley for tweeting support of anti-government protesters in Hong Kong.
God forbid you do that.
No. Oh, no. I mean, can you imagine? I mean, man, why would you want to go there? What, keep your head down, keep your mouth shut? Don't show affection, don't talk politics. Just, shut up and dribble. Right? I mean, is that what we're coming down to? Now, help me understand this, Matt, because, my quandary with this is I got an iPhone, man. That wasn't made here in Wisconsin. I got an Apple Mac. I went to the Mac, man. I got away from the PCs. But none of that stuff's made here, man. Most of the stuff's made, Foxconn, China, Taiwan. China has, obviously, we're buying lots of things from China. Is this any different? Do you see a difference from the NBA after getting kicked out for essentially political support for anti-government protesters in Hong Kong, going back 5 years later, perhaps with their tail between their legs, and providing, the product of sports entertainment? Is that any different from me buying an iPhone?
I think so. I mean, none of us is lily white and pure, and we all, live in a society where, we have to function. And one way we function is with iPhones. I mean, that's just the way it is. And unless you want to be in a cave somewhere, you're gonna dirty your hands a little bit by having these products made in countries whose policies are reprehensible. But it's different than going out of your way to get an endorsement from these folks. It's like, do you want the Emirates or China or Saudi Arabia to advertise on your show, Dom? Probably not. And I think that's the distinction I draw.
Well, it depends how much money they're coming with, man, because isn't that really what it comes down to? They're not. I cannot imagine with the league, with the NBA, and they must have some internal strife as well, and maybe the LGBTQ members of the NBA have a problem with this. But if they're sharing the wealth, well, here's your cut. I don't know how that went down, but it seemingly is challenging. Real quick, we got 50 seconds in this segment, Matt. Is bird watching a sport, my birder friend?
Some people make it in a sport. See how many different birds you can see in a day, or how many different birds you can see in a year. I don't do that kind of bird watching. I'm just happy to see the red-bellied woodpecker outside my window today.
Oh, beautiful. I love the pictures. Matt Rothschild is going to come back with us. Jess PS is on the board. You can join us as well. 855-752-4842. I got some updates on the CEO, the healthcare CEO murderer. We're going to go there. We're also going to talk about the cost of healthcare. Man, it's not low. Come back with us. 855-75-CIVIC.
30 seconds, Matt.
Alrighty.
Welcome back to the Dom Salvia Show, 855-752-4842, 855-75-CIVIC. Got Matt Rothschild here with us today as well. Just PS on the board. It's a phone line. It's a text line. I've got a couple on there. Let's get to them. Susan from Kenosha. I love your show. Oh, thank you, Susan. Sounds like a fun place to visit. Talking about Saudi Arabia. The Saudis certainly appear to show a woman a good time with lots of laughy faces. Yeah, I don't know about that, Susan, but thanks for hanging out with us. Matt makes a good point from Middleton. If people put their dollars behind, oh, damn it, where'd it go? Sorry about that. If people put their dollars behind their values, we'd have a better world. Bothers me to see lazy liberals shopping at Amazon and bitch about monopolies, a smiley face with a cry tear. I think that's a good point, Matt Rothschild. What do you think?
Well, yeah. I mean, where you can, some things are harder than others. I mean, getting a cell phone a smartphone that's really works really well. I mean, yeah, I've got an Apple smartphone. And, am I thrilled with it? I'm not. But, do I go to Amazon? No, I go to the local bookstore because I can order there. And that doesn't take a lot of effort to shop locally. And we need to support our independent bookstores. So,
yeah.
We all make our choices, and none of us is absolutely unstained by capitalism and by countries with bad human rights records. But there are ways, I try in my own little ways to support where I can local businesses and try not to, help out the real bad guys out there. But it's impossible to be pure. That doesn't mean we should just give up.
Make every effort you can. Good points. Tom from New Berlin. He says, Matt, early this morning, the great horned owl making his hoots was amazing. Was amazing. It's mating season, apparently, Matt. I'm not clear, but the great horned owl was out and about.
Yeah, it is actually mating season for owls right now, especially the great horned owls in December and January. They do their thing, and then they they hatch their babies in February. So you will hear the call of the great horned owl, which is the classic owl sound. If you've got owls in the neighborhood, it's really cool. I hear them. We also have barred owls, and they make a "Who cooks for you" sound. That's how we remember it, because it sounds like they're going, "Who cooks for you? Who cooks for you?" That's the barred owl, but the great horned owl has a more typical owl sound.
Is it just mating season for the great horned owl, or is it general owl mating season?
I think most owls mate, but in this season. But I know for a fact that it is great horned owl season. I can't
Susan,
say for absolute sure that every single other owl
you are
is
the
mating
closest,
right now.
You are the closest thing to a bird expert that I know, so you're my guy. Susan from Kenosha says, it's really sad when you sell yourself for money and not have respect for your beliefs. When do we sell off our beliefs of our constitutional rights? Well, there's that. Steve from Madison points out, wait till Trump gets in office. He'll have the White House surrounded by billboards advertising Trump businesses. It will be the home of crooks and lies with mega signs. He is a sick person. Well, thank you for your opinion, Steve, but you'd have to still get those billboards approved by the local DC. I don't think that's ever going to happen.
Be funny to watch, though.
It would be. See that battle. It's really what's worth fighting for. The healthcare. All right, let's talk about the healthcare. So the updates on the shooter, Luigi Mangione. How do you pronounce his last name?
Mangione.
Not the musician, Chuck, right? We talked about Chuck Mangione, right? The horn player from the 70s, man. That's some good stuff. Luigi, of course, Arrested at McDonald's. And I saw the headline on Drudge, Matt, all for the hash brown at McDonald's. And I love those McDonald's hash browns, man. I mean, maybe it would be worth getting caught if you're a hungry man. Those are some good fast food hash browns. My understanding, the reporting from today, ballistics has come back on the weapon that apparently matches what were the casings that were found at the scene. And apparently there was a fingerprint as well. So it's looking like they got their guy. I mean, this will continue to evolve, but it looks like that's the guy. I don't know what else to say about that. Now, what we do want to talk about, and which has struck the conversation and is really shined a light on, of course, is the cost of health care. Now, apparently, the suspect in this case had some back problems. He fused his lower back, and it's a young person to be fusing your back.
Yeah,
man.
he has a degenerative spinal condition that causes discs to slip out of place. So even though he's quite young, he's had some spinal fusions already.
That sucks. And I've had a few back problems in my life, and thankfully not recently. But you know how debilitating that can be. And also in dealing with trying to get those things fixed, you got to deal with the healthcare system. So the conversation has now, turned to, and no folks and megas out there and any of the callers who suggest murder is always bad. Never do that. That's not the way to get things done. The costs of healthcare in this country are certainly concerning. And the CBS News had an article on this from yesterday. And I'm just going to scroll down and throw the numbers out here. And this is shocking to me. In 2024, the average health insurance premium for families carried a price tag of $25,572 per year. Wow. $25,572 per year. Now, my rough math says that's about $12, $13 an hour. So if you're working for $12 or $13 an hour and you got a family and you didn't pay any taxes, if you took all your gross, that would eat that up. Single workers paid an average of just under $9,000, representing a 6% and 7% increase from the earlier year. Since 2000, the rise in health insurance premium has outpaced inflation for all but a handful of years, the health policy research firm found. This is KFF. Here's Rob Andrews, the CEO of Health Transformation Alliance, a cooperative representing major companies such as American Express and Coca-Cola that works on improving health insurance for their employees. Unhappiness with insurers stems from two things. I'm sick and I'm getting hassled. And the second is very much cost. I'm paying more than I used to. I'm paying more than my wages went up. A lot of people think they're getting less from their insurers, and they certainly are. So, Matt, how can anybody pay $25,000 a year? Now, thankfully, a lot of the corporations, and though not all, they'll pay some portion of it, right? If you work for a company, they'll pay half and you pay half, or some variation. If you work for a really good company, they'll pay the whole thing. Stay with that company if you have that. But in my years on this earth, Matt, and my efforts in different business endeavors, one thing I never, ever wanted to do and went into business for was to provide health insurance for employees. That was never the point of going into business. That is not the point. So, Matt, how do we address this, man? I mean, you can't be paying $26,000 for crappy insurance, and the fact that these folks literally make more money by denying claims. The more claims you deny, the more money you get.
Yeah, I mean, this is the reason we need universal health care. That's why Bernie Sanders has been saying it over and over again, and people think he's boring because he keeps saying it when he gets up in the morning, and when he goes to bed at night. But he's absolutely right. I mean, we shouldn't be the only advanced industrialized country without universal health care, and we shouldn't have this industry that is between us and the care we need, denying us care and gouging us with their prices. And that's why there's been this ghoulish outcry on social media after this, grotesque murder, because people almost every family has an experience. Hell, I was watching MSNBC yesterday, and Katie Tour got on and said I had an emergency appendectomy, and they weren't going to cover it. They were going to charge me $50,000, and she had to jump through hoops to get her emergency appendectomy approved by the insurance that she'd been paying. I mean, this is happening to everyone, so everyone can feel it. And I was listening to right wing radio for a second yesterday, and they were saying, why is Brian Thompson being vilified here? He came from a poor or lower class family in the Midwest, and he rose up the corporate ladder. Isn't that what you're supposed to do? And this kid from a wealthy Pennsylvania family, wigs out and commits murder in broad daylight, and he's the hero. But he wasn't this right-wing righty-whitey guy wasn't factoring the fact that Brian Thompson was head of this United Healthcare insurance company that was denying people the coverage that they wanted. And while he was there, in the first year he was there, they were doubling the rate at which they were denying people the care that they deserved. I'm not saying it justifies going out and shooting a guy dead in the street. I mean, that was a horrible thing to do. I don't believe in violence. I don't believe in these single acts. Thinking you're going to rectify a problem. That's not how social change is supposed to happen. It was disgusting. But look at, everyone has experiences. I mean, my brother-in-law was supposed to have a spinal surgery that his doctors recommended, and the insurance company said, you can't have that spinal surgery. You need to have a different kind of spinal surgery that didn't go great. I mean, why are these people who've never done surgery in their lives deciding what kind of surgery you should have, or whether you're allowed to have surgery or not, or whether you should be covered by in an emergency appendectomy that could kill you? I mean, that's the world we're living in, though. And I think that's what this crime has brought to the surface.
And that's a good point, Matt Rothschild. It's obvious the murder is bad, right? That it's so plain that is not a way to solve issues, and we all look at that as something that we do not condone. We condemn it. There's never a place for that. Where's the same concern for those folks who get their claims denied? For those folks who do not get the surgery that their doctors recommend, that the insurance company, someone decides, a claim adjuster decides, no, that's not going to be it. It's going to be this one over here. Because, there are people die because of those insurance companies' decisions.
Yeah, insurance companies are killing people.
They're literally, okay, let's do that. Now, it may not be, a shot in the back or a shot in the head, right? It's not so evident and obvious and violent as that. No, it's done through an email, or it's done through a piece of paper sent. Here's your denying your claim. Good luck next time, but thank you for your premiums and don't forget to pay. Where is the concern for all the folks that are denied? And those specific denials go right to the bottom line. I mean, my understanding, they had over $260 billion, at one division, in revenue in 1 year.
And $16 billion in profit. $16 billion with a B.
And he made $1 million base. He got $10 million by the time he got all his benefits and whatever the else. And of course, he was also involved. Again, we're talking about the executive who was murdered. Apparently doing some insider trading where he profited $11 million by dumping 31% of his own personal portfolio in the company he worked for 11 days prior to the news getting out that there's an investigation going on. So he was involved in that. He's that kind of guy. Let's not just say this was a guy out there, doing good and volunteering his time. And maybe he did, but those decisions, that's pure greed, right? You're not supposed to do that. That's against the law.
It's not just, nice Midwestern guy climbs the corporate ladder, local boy makes good, which is, what this tidy, whitey, righty guy was talking about. And it bugs me that you can't tell the truth without getting slapped down here. If you're Elizabeth Warren, for instance, here's what she said. The visceral response from people across the country who feel cheated, ripped off, and threatened by the vile practices of their insurance companies should be a warning to everyone in the healthcare system. Violence is never the answer, but people can only be pushed so far. And she got a lot of blowback on that, so she backpedaled by saying violence is never the answer, period. I should have been much clearer. There's never a justification for murder. Well, she said it in the first place that there's no justification for
Well, is it easy? Is it murder if you get denied the claim and you end up dying of whatever the ailment is? No, that's just, you're just sick. You died from being sick. You know,
Yeah,
maybe
it's not murder on the death certificate, but it should be an accomplice anyway.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's the point. If you are denied the care that will extend your life and help you live because you're going to pad an insurance company's bottom line, that's not murder. That's just business in the USA, baby. 855-752-4842. Come back with us. We'll take some of your calls.
Matt, we're going to take one call and then we will shift gears to talk about Nikki Giovanni.
Sounds great.
$15.
And welcome back to the Dom Salvia Show, 855-752-4842. Last segment of the day. Matt Rothschild, Just PS on the board. 81% of Americans last year said they were dissatisfied with the cost of health care in the U.S., a 16-year high. Gallup polling has found. I think that means 19% have their health care paid for by somebody else. Tom from Madison, you will have the last word on the health care. Welcome. What do you got for us?
Hey, thanks. Yeah, as an independent contractor, artist, musician kind of guy,
Yeah.
100% of my health care from pretty much my whole adult life. And I know there's going to be rationing and there's going to be distribution of resources and whatnot, but when you're making $10-20 billion at the end of it, that's crazy. And when it comes to guns, somebody put it on best on the internet I saw yesterday. Now CEOs have to be in the same class of threat as the typical grade school teacher or third grade.
Oh, God. Yes, Tom. Thank you for that. But that's terrible. I mean, what a situation we have here in this country. Thanks for listening, Tom. Always appreciate it. 855-752-4842. Matt, the poet, Nikki Giovanni, died at the age of 81. I saw the headlines all over when it went down. And I got to be honest, man, I wasn't aware, didn't know. And you had sent a link from her interviewing James Baldwin from back in the day, and Baldwin's one of my favorites. And so it was the first time I really saw that, and I was struck, man. What a powerful voice.
Yeah, you'd love this woman. I grabbed a book off my shelf, Selected Poems of Nikki Giovanni. You may not know it's one of my passions, poetry. So I knew her work. I'd seen her speak. She came to Madison a couple times, most recently in 2017. Just an incredible voice of poetry and of freedom, of civil rights, of justice. A real fighter for justice.
Yeah.
And an icon of the civil rights movement. She knew Muhammad Ali and Malcolm X and Martin Luther King. Wrote an incredible poem when King died, saying, his tombstone says, free at last, but that's for slaves. We need to live in a country where he could have, preached nonviolence his whole life. So, yeah, an amazing person. We have a couple, I think we have a couple audio clips, Jess. Why don't you play the first one and then maybe go to James Baldwin?
All right. So this is a short poem, Am She.
I am she, making rainbows in coffee cups, watching fish jump after midnight in my dreams. On the stove, left front burner is the stew already chewed, certain to burn as I dream of waves of nothingness. Floating to shore, riding a low moon on a slow cloud. I am she who writes the poems.
I love that powerful voice. And then she was, you mentioned James Baldwin, Dom, one of the absolute greatest writers of the 20th century and a pioneer in the civil rights movement, too. This was a conversation that Nikki Giovanni had with James Baldwin in 1971. Giovanni was 28. Baldwin was 47. They have kind of a clash of generations here, but they have tremendous mutual admiration, too. So let's play this little cut that I grabbed today for you, Jess.
So the question, for me, the question has always been power.
Yes.
And for, like you all, the question has been morals. I never wanted to be the most moral person in the world.
I agree, I know.
I would sell my soul, you know what I mean? What does it profit a man to gain the world and lose his soul? The world. You know what I mean? The world, that's what it profits.
I know.
So you take the soul, the thing that's spiritual. Take the world, but give me Jesus.
Yes,
Y'all can have Jesus. Give me the world. Even though it's losing 25% of its energy every 100 years or something ridiculous.
Oh, please, don't believe everything you hear.
No, but I'm saying that's not my concern,
I know.
Even though it's polluted, ugly, dirty, give it to me.
Oh, I just love that. Give it to me. Give me the world. You can have your morals. I want my power. I want the world. I want to end the injustice. And I looked through this book and found a poem called A Very Simple Wish. I just want to read the last two stanzas, which are incredible. I want to make a quilt of all the patches and find one long, strong pole to lift it up. I have a mind to build a new world. Want to play? Just love that. Want to play? She was ready to play. She wanted to build that new world and where everyone's voice could be heard, and not just, say as Baldwin did tremendously that, white people will never be free as long as black people aren't free. But she wanted the power to make everybody free and to liberate her people. And such a tremendous voice. Nikki Giovanni at 81 died just 2 days ago, November 9th. And I think for people who ever saw her speak in Madison or elsewhere know what a tremendous voice she had. And if you haven't heard her speak, I would just recommend Google tonight, Nikki Giovanni. That's Giovanni, Nikki with two Ks, Nikki Giovanni and James Baldwin. And you'll get this.
I'll also link this into the show notes.
Oh, thanks. It's just an incredible conversation. It goes on for about 48 minutes. We just grabbed that 30 seconds, but it is, you will feel two of the wisest people you'll ever want to meet speaking about really important issues. And it's just fun to be a fly on that wall.
According to the New York Times, in her early years, much of her poetry was boldly militant as she addressed the horrors that had galvanized the civil rights movement, the murders of Emmett Till, the 4 black girls in Birmingham church bombing, and the Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. Quote, no one was much interested in a black girl writing what was called militant poetry, she wrote in her book, Gemini. So I formed a company and published myself.
There you go.
81 years old. Big shoes to fill. Look forward to getting to know her a little bit more in her writings. Thank you, Matt Rothschild, for coming out and hanging out with me today. Thank you, Jess P.S., for all of your work. Thank you to our fair audience for joining us. Stick around. Pete Schwaber for the Nightlight is coming up next. And tomorrow tomorrow. I got James Santel, former U.S. attorney, going to co-host with me in the Dom and Friends version of a Thursday. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Jess. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful night. We'll see you here tomorrow.